and we will get started with this fun little exercise that we're going to do today that we call the 10K Challenge. By the way, we have two other events coming up this month. On September 18th, we're doing something called the Difference Maker Toolkit. It's based on a lot of research that we've done about what it means to be a difference maker and how do you scale a business that makes a difference. And then if anybody is in the New York State area, we're doing a virtual networking event called Gather and Grow. It's really a lot of fun. It's a really, really fun, even though it's virtual, it's fun. And you'll get to meet some really cool people. So feel free to attend any of those as well. My background, I was a corporate executive, helped take a company public, went out on my own, became an entrepreneur in 2001, became an entrepreneur, and I've been doing entrepreneurship ever since. And then in 2009, I started the Share on Purpose portfolio, which is like a purposeful Shark Tank. And we invest and we also cultivate our own businesses. So these businesses that are popping up on the screen are all businesses that started in our cultivator. Shiftco is the fifth, which is business. Shiftco was started 4 years ago. And so a lot of what I have learned and most of my failures, I teach other entrepreneurs through Shiftco. So let's start first with what is so important about 10K. Even if you've gotten above 10K, and I know several of you mentioned that you had, you're going to see yourself go up and down over that line. And there's a couple of things that I would say about that. So we always think, everybody's successful and I'm not. And, we have all these stories that we tell ourselves. But I want to just give you data. So the first thing is 81% of all firms don't have employees. So that means they're solopreneurs. Okay. So 81% of all companies in the United States are solopreneurs. They don't have any employees, which means the vast majority of those are probably either under 15K or certainly under 20K. That's a lot of businesses. So you're not doing anything wrong. Number one. Of that, if you look at even in the employee firms, 62% of this 19% have less than 4 employees. So that's a lot, right? So we're talking about a very small percentage of companies that make it large enough where you have a team around you. So just give yourself a little bit of perspective. My estimates is 87 to 89% of all businesses are solopreneurs when you really look at both data sets together. And we see a lot of solopreneurs in Shiftco. Probably 80% of our member base are solopreneurs and micropreneurs, which is kind of that solo plus. So it's the vast majority of businesses out there. So don't feel bad net about where you are. Now, I want to give you a different set of data points, and that is the businesses that exit, meaning they leave for whatever reason. This is probably, I think, one of the most accurate for what really happened. So 70% of all businesses that get started fail or stop for some reason. I like the word stop because I stopped building a business in my past. It didn't fail. It achieved its life, but then I stopped doing it and I started doing something else. 30% actually succeed. Of those who stop or exit, and that stop could be, I'm just not doing this anymore, I'm quitting, I'm selling it, 20% do so in their first year. So if you're in your first year, that 70% of those, 20% of those quit, stop in their first year. And the reason is because it's harder than we thought it was. And, when we left, it was for me, my first year was miserable. 2002, 2003, actually my first 2 years. Not only were we dealing with the 9/11 crisis, which is what caused me to start my business, but then we know after that, the dot-com bubble burst, and there was a lot that went on. So that first 2 years for me was just miserable. And believe me, I thought about quitting, every day. So that 20% do so in their first year, I kind of liken that to the folks that realize how hard it is and then they stop. People that make it to their 5th year and their 10th year usually stop for a different reason. So what I've been doing is I've been studying this why do people stop perspective. And here's my experience with that. That 20% just realize how hard it is and they stop before they truly start. I talk to these kind of people all along, frequently. And I'm like, look, if you haven't made it through that first tough year, you really don't know how difficult it is. So if you've made it past a year, you should feel really good about that. The next 10% bounce around. They try this, they try that, they're bouncing around. And what's driving the bouncing around is the lack of confidence, because building a business, you're just constantly faced with the things that don't work. And so I'll just try this, and then I'll try this, and then I'll try this, and I'll network for a while. And they never really build the habits or the consistency that's really required. By year 5, 50% typically return to corporate America. That's the one that breaks my heart, quite honestly. And I was almost one of those statistics. I know what that's like. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to go get a job and, forget this. I think that was about 2 years in. I kind of stopped business and started looking for a job, and almost took a job. Elected for a position I really wanted, and I didn't get the job. And lo and behold, fortunately for me, I kept going in entrepreneurship, and here I am today. But that 50% really wears on me, because when we leave a corporate job and we start a business, we're making a trade-off. I'm trading off security for freedom. Is that freedom not to do the work? We're free to focus. We're free not to focus. We're free to do marketing and demand generation. We're free not to do it. And so what happens is freedom is very appealing at some point when we make the leap, but then security starts to become more appealing. And then we get into this situation where we're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So that 1 to 5 years is where I am passionate about helping people, because I know how often you're thinking about, wouldn't it just be easier to go back and get a job? Wow, wouldn't that be easier? And when we start saying those things, wouldn't it be easier if, that's when we get into this treadmill of up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And then if you make it, past that, typically you're going to sell the business, merge, or transition the business. So that's where those 70% stats come from. So I've studied that, and rather than just looking at the ones that stop, I started looking at, well, what are the 30% who kept going? What did they have in common? So, for a while I studied the 70%. And that's where I really started seeing, what happens at these different levels, and reminding myself, even businesses I started recently, I've thought about stopping, because it's like, oh, this is hard. What was I thinking? So I started a couple of years ago thinking about, well, what are the 30% who keep going? What do they have in common? And that was really when I had the breakthrough about conscious business. When the business is more than a source of income, so meaning I'm really meant to do this, call it purpose, call it impact, call it making a difference. I'm supposed to be doing this work. They'll keep going. The second thing they had in common is they mastered what we call FD squared. These are the 3 things that you have to master, and I mean master, to get your business above 10K a month and keep it there consistently. So it's FD squared. What does that stand for? First, it stands for fit. So what fit is the business fits you. Not everybody is designed to build $1 million business. Not everybody is designed to build a business that's 15, 20, 25,000 a month. So that's the first most important thing that I want to encourage you on is you want to build a business that fits who you are naturally. I'm the opposite. I am built to build businesses that are multi-million. And when I'm stuck in a business that doesn't scale, I'm miserable. Conversely, there are some people that are not fit. They're not designed to build a business that scales to 7 figures. And if they try to, they're going to be miserable. So that is a really important aspect is know yourself. I'm going to give you a couple of tools to help you do that. We have a couple of others on our website, a couple of assessments on our website that will help you with this. But you want to make sure you build the business that fits who you are. I've also met people that their personality and their life, they're not fit to scale a business to 10. So 2, 3, 4, 5K a month is okay. So wherever you line up with the fit scenario, be okay with that. That's what the F stands for. The first D stands for differentiation. Be different in a way that matters to your buyer. That is one of the most difficult things to do, but it is the key to making your business simple. And differentiation, we have a couple of free trainings on our YouTube page. If you need those, let me know. But differentiation is hard to do, but it is the thing that will make your business simple. What differentiation is your buyer that you want to work with, that you want to serve, recognizes that you add value to them. And they are interested naturally, right, in learning more about you. So differentiation is paramount. And then the second D stands for demand. Demand generation is marketing. If you attended the authentic marketing session that we did last month, if not, that's also on our website as well. Demand generation is the marketing side. How do you create where there's constantly people that are interested in learning more and coming to you to learn more from you, to get to know you? That's really the key to freedom. So you need those 3 things and they need to be consistent. So that's why we say master them. You have to master these 3 things. And they're not easy to master, by the way, but you can't just kind of play with them. Like you really have to focus. And I want to go back to that statistic. When I look at the businesses that make it, that 30% that succeed in those numbers that I gave you, they have mastered fit, differentiation, and demand. And when I did this research, I was like, bing, 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 bing. You could see it. Like that's the thing they have in common. And we did a lot of research around this, but it's fit, differentiation, and demand. So we focus on those a lot, both in our free trainings as well as the training and coaching that we give our members. So it's paramount. You need fit. So the business needs to fit you. You got to understand yourself. There's a couple of tools that help you do that. You really need to figure out how do you talk about yourself in a way that not just is different, but in a way where your buyer recognizes your value. Let me say that again. Your buyer recognizes your value and they want to learn more. And then demand generation is creating a system through that value rather than just promoting yourself. So that's fit, differentiation, and demand. And you've got to learn how to master those 3 things to grow and scale your business. Next up, I want to talk about why it's so important to consistently break 10K, but I want to stop and see if anybody has any questions about FD squared before we talk about why it's so important to consistently break 10K so you're not breaking down in the process. All right, so let's talk about this magical 10K. There's a lot of research on this. The first and most important thing is when you get your business above 10K, that's when you start to have what I call breathing room, where you have some resources to hire somebody to do your accounting or to take social media off your plate or any of the aspects you don't enjoy. You really need to be consistently above 10K to be able to do that. It also allows you to focus more on the work that you actually enjoy doing. You can also, believe it or not, even at 10K a month, you can start to build a retirement nest egg. I've seen lots and lots of entrepreneurs do that. You can take your family on vacation, lots of really cool things, and you can invest in yourself. When you're consistently under 10K, you end up doing everything in the business. You end up doing a lot of work that you don't enjoy. It'll feel like you're not getting ahead, so you're not building, retirement nest egg. It will feel like you're not able to take breaks, and it will feel like you're putting yourself last. So those are some good reasons. And I know we're not motivated, we're not motivated by money as conscious entrepreneurs, although we know it's important. I am motivated by money and meaning, but not everybody is. But one of my favorite conscious leaders taught me, when there's no money, there's no mission. And that's James Creedon. He's a conscious attorney, believe it or not. There is such a thing. And James has been instrumental in helping me shape some of my ideas about balancing meaning and money. You really do need to balance both. And sometimes we push the money side and we don't do the meaning, and that's not going to work either. And sometimes we focus too much on the meaning and not enough on the money. So what I've learned is you really do have to have both. And the last thing I would say about that is, one of my quotes is, your business grows as you evolve. What that means is we have to evolve ourselves. We have to evolve our mindset and our energy and the way we approach our business to do both. And I don't believe that you can be happy just building a business for the money. I also don't believe you can make an impact if you're just focused on the meaning. You have to balance both of those together. And so that's the question I want to put out there as I show you this journey to building a business based on both of these. So what we're going to transition to is what I call the roadmap to 10K. There's 4 sub phases. And for those of you that have crossed 10K and you're feeling it, I'm going to talk about where you're stuck, and what's kind of holding you back. Even though you might be above 10K, there's something that's holding you back. I'm going to talk through what that looks like. And then we're going to talk through some strategies for each of these phases. So it's like a journey, right? And every one of these little things that you see, these ups and downs, these are pivots that you're going to make. And you don't stop pivoting until the business is well above 30K a month. So if you're in a pivot or you're thinking you need to be in a pivot, that's just part of the package. And even as somebody who's now launched multiple businesses and helped hundreds and hundreds of people launch and grow businesses, the pivots are for real and there's nothing wrong with them. They're just part of the package. The first kind of bump that you're going to hit is, I call it, I want to make an impact, but. And that but is what really gets us in the way. But it feels hard. But I'm not sure I know what to do. But this is getting in the way. But I don't know how to do that. And that's the first hurdle that you have to get through, is you've got to retire the buts. That's the easiest way to say that. The second, and that typically shows up the first time 0 to 3K, at least it did for me, when those buts started getting bigger and louder. And if you keep going, you're going to circle back to the buts again at other levels, but you've got to begin to set the buts aside. How do you know when when a but's kind of in your head is when you're starting to think, it'd just be easier to go get a job. And if you're having those thoughts, it'd just be easier to go get a job, then you're kind of wrestling with that particular but. The second one, and for those of you who have made it, probably above 5K, this tends to show up 2 to 5K. I'm growing, but I don't know if I really enjoy this. And that's one of the buts. The buts start coming back. Maybe I should just go back and get a job. It's awfully hard. I'm not making much money, and I'm not sure I really enjoy this work that I'm doing. That one happens a lot. We call that the passion pivot. And then the other one, and if your business is above 10K, this is the one that's holding you back. It's like, I love what I'm doing. It's just not enough time. there's just, you feel like you don't have enough time. There's just not enough time. And you're stuck in the get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And you can see that it's steep there, right? That one is steep. That one is really, really, really challenging. And that tends to start showing up 4 to 7, and then you get above 10K, and it almost always is kicking your butt. 10 to 15, it's kicking your butt. I love what I'm doing, but there's not enough time to grow it. And I'm working in the business and not on the business. And I'm stuck in this, rabbit or hamster wheel, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And then the last one is where you really start to feel like you're ready for liftoff. The problem is when you're there, you're going to loop again through these. So when you get the business, 6, 7, 8K, and it's like, here we go. And then boom, something happens. And you think you failed, but you didn't. It's just basically you're going to go back through these cycles again and again and again. And then you're going to face a new set of cycles, and you're going to be doing this constant, what feels like constant pivoting. And it feels like it's not working, but it is working. You just have to learn how to shape it forward. And as you move through these levels, let me describe these, and then I'll stop and take some questions. So 0 to 3 is when that but shows up, and you want to make an impact, but here's some of the behavior. You have a tendency to overthink things. If you're an overthinker, you're going to get pulled back down. If you're overthinking things, even if you make it all the way to 10, if you're overthinking things, you're going to get pulled back down. Inconsistent actions related to demand gen, same thing. That's going to pull you back down. And then you'll get stuck where you're not moving forward, and you're focused on what's not working, and you're focused on your frustration. That is when those butts start to really creep in, and they just eat at you and they gnaw at you. The second one is, I'm growing, but something is off. And if I tell myself the truth, I don't enjoy my clients or business. I have been here. I built a very successful marketing strategy firm. We had 40 consultants in that firm. And every year, even as high as that business was, we got it to 7 million in annual revenue. Every year, I felt this passion pivot, pulling at me. I don't really enjoy this stuff that I'm doing, but I got to keep going because I need to make money, and I don't really enjoy this thing, but I got to keep going because now I have employees, and I don't really enjoy this thing that I'm doing, but I got to keep going because now I'm making money. And you can get really, really, really derailed here. It feels heavy, and you're not sure if it's the work itself or the clients. And if you're feeling this way, this is where a lot of pivots come in. And again, it shows up the first time, typically 2 to 5K, but it comes back. And all of these, remember, they circle back, right? Until we resolve these points, and we'll talk about what I mean by resolve these points, they keep coming back. The third one is, there's not enough time to grow like I want. And again, if you've gotten above 10K, but you feel like you don't have time, this is the one that's affecting you, is you're stuck in the get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And you'll stay here for a while, and you'll get it, and then you'll come back, and you'll get it, and you'll come back, and you get it, and you come back. The question is really why. Is it because you're not really passionate about the work? Is it because your actions are inconsistent? Is it because you've got to learn how to pivot to the next level? And again, we'll talk about those strategies in a minute. And then in scalable, time to step on the gas. This is when you fit, differentiation, and demand really start to line up. And that's when the business really starts to go. But if one of these other 3 are kind of in your mind, you're going to loop back, even if you're scalable. So before we talk about the strategies for each of these, I want to see if anybody has questions. If any of these resonate with you, or you have questions about them, please feel free to ask them. Questions or comments? Does anybody recognize yourself in any of these?
I have a comment. I would say, I think your comment that this isn't a linear process that you cycle through at various points. I also would echo that. Maybe Monday through Wednesday, I feel like I don't have enough time, but then I have a really amazing conversation engagement with a prospective client, and that makes me go all the way back to the beginning because I'm like, well, darn, I don't have a product that supports what their need is, but I love their need and I know I can help them. So then I'm rethinking again, I want to make an impact, but now that means I've got to stop what I'm doing to go over here and create this other product. So that's been my experience. It's very um, dependent on the day, dependent on the conversation. And also, I tend to be on the spectrum more of a creative, so I get excited about
Yeah.
things that might be distracting me from, okay, but you're scaling, and it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but I have this other thing over here I'm excited about.
Yeah, great. That's a great example of this. So let's kind of walk through this so you can see how it plays out. So um, the first one is you just have to commit. I'm doing whatever it takes. You know, I call it the Patrick Mahomes. I'm doing whatever it takes. I'm making this happen. I'm doing it. And I'm focused on making this happen. The second one is I'm going to focus on the work that I truly enjoy. Now, I might have to take a project here or there to pay the bills, but I'm not going to pull them into my business forever. I'm like, I'm going to take this project over here to pay the bills, but my business is this over here. And then for the ones where, hey, that's really cool and you get excited, for those, build a good partner network and bring a partner to the table and say, hey, I don't have the time to take this on, but I would love to do a rev share with you and be a little bit involved with it, be like a creative consultant with you, but you actually go do it. And I'll take a piece of that pie. I'm bringing you the business. It's not a fit for me. I'm going to bring you in as my partner on it, do a rev share with them so you can at least be involved in it, but they do the work. That will actually make you more money than if you start taking those things that you can do or those things that you interest you. You'll actually make more money for less time by building a partner network to do that. And that will get you through the not enough time to grow like I want. And then why that fourth one is so important is when your business, when it fits who you are, when it's differentiated, so your buyer recognizes they need you, and when you have a steady stream of clients coming to you, that's when it starts to become easy. And all of these other three are distractions on the way to that. And again, I'm going to get a little more into the strategy, but I just want to talk about all three of those, Tiffany, with the example that you just gave. That was a great example. Anybody else this resonate with you or have questions about it before we go through some of the strategies?
I thought that I can see different products being in different phases of that. I feel like I have a lot of clients that are smaller, that I do more like coaching work, that are on that first level of like I'm getting it started. It's like I love the purpose, love what I'm doing, but it's not getting there. And then I have a couple other clients that are the ones that are kind of paying the bills right now. They're the bigger projects. And I feel a little bit of the passion pivot that is that like, this is good, its progress is growing and it's paying the bills, but I don't really enjoy this. And then I think the other piece is because I work with people that are also starting up, they are going through this phase of too. So depending on where they are, like if they are in a pivot or if they are in a phase that they are not very certain that they want to stay in business, that changes my work with them. So it's like kind of a double layer of they are going through the ups and downs, and I kind of get pulled into their up and down.
Yeah, that's spot on, Marcella. And that's why it's important, like, just be honest with yourself. Just be totally self-aware. I'm taking this project because we need the money, not because this is what I want to do, but because I want the money to grow. And then you don't get attached to it. Or I'm taking this project because I'm inspired by it, but I'm going to bring somebody else in to actually do the work because I don't have the time for it. I don't have the capacity for it. And it's going to take me away from my core business. And so if you just start being ruthlessly self-aware is the best way to describe it, and you really start asking yourself those questions, you'll make different choices. And there's always a way to get there, but it's when we start, called cognitive dissonance, when we start ignoring what we know is true, and we start telling ourselves, oh, well, yeah, but I could do this for a while, even though I don't really like it. Or, wow, I'm really inspired by that, even though I don't really have time. And then that's when we start getting into that. It becomes hard. And once it becomes hard, that's when that, but maybe I should just go back and get a job really starts to loop in. And again, even today, almost 3 decades of entrepreneurship, I still have times where I'm like, no, what am I doing? I know I could get a job and it'd be easier than this. So that but is what really wears us out. And it's these reasons that cause us to do that. So that was also a great example. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go through some strategies. If you're 0 to 3, what's typically happening is 3 things. You're overthinking things. You're trying to make it perfect. Your actions are inconsistent related to demand gen. That's the one thing that I would say master consistency and good habits for first is whether it's networking or doing podcasts or reaching out to people or leaving little flyers. I leave these little Shifco flyers everywhere I go. Whatever your strategy is to generate demand, it has to be consistent or your business is not going to grow consistently. So your demand generation strategies have to be consistent or your business will not grow consistently. And then the other thing that happens is when we're not moving forward, the amygdala part of our brain starts second guessing ourselves. We start to feel like we're failing, and then we get stuck in this loop. So the strategy that we deploy, we call Jumpstart. And what Jumpstart is, it's ruthlessly being self-aware, where we ask ourselves the tough questions. We go through looking at, go get a job, keep going, pros and cons. We just ruthlessly self-aware. What are all my buts? What is keeping me from being consistent? Why am I overthinking things? Because I'm afraid to fail. So you just make a list of where these 3 things are, and you give yourself a jump start, and you just tackle them and you just go after them. If you're overthinking things, it's a confidence issue and you're trying to be perfect. What are you going to do about that? If your actions are inconsistent related to demand generation and you're not consistently doing that, why? What are you going to do about it? If you're not moving forward and you're stuck in I'm not sure I can, what are you going to do about it? So Jumpstart is the way, just power through whatever those things are that are holding you back. When you're in I'm not sure I really enjoy this, and keep in mind, I built a $7 million a year business that I didn't enjoy. So, and every year from 2002 to 2003 to 2004 to 2000, I kept going and I kept going. It kept getting bigger, and I kept trying to pivot this, and I'll change that. And if I just hired this person, it'll get better. By the time it got into that 6 to 7 million, I was wealthy, but freaking miserable. So this is paramount. Take projects, take work, build things that matter to you, build things that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, be honest. I'm just taking this project because it's going to pay the bills, but I don't really enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it. It's got to be stuff that you feel passionate about, or you're going to keep visiting this like I did every single year. I visited the same thing. And deep down inside, I knew the truth. The truth is that I wasn't meant to be doing that work, but I was good at it and it paid the bills. And I lulled myself into thinking that, I could keep going. And I would just tell you, just call that out. We call it a passion pivot. Make a passion pivot and figure out other ways that you can get the compensation, but do work that matters to you, that you're passionate about. Third category is what we call business simple. And I don't know why that's locking up there. And we have a great training program on this on YouTube called Business Simple. And what business simple is you're stuck in get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And there's not enough time to grow the way that you want. And I'm going to give you strategies for all 3 of these. But if that's where you are, and again, it tends to show up 4 to 7, it shows up again 7 to 10, shows up again 10 to 15. Check out the Business Simple training on the YouTube page. And then lastly, when you are ready and fit is there and differentiation and demand is there, that's when you want to do the growth sprint. And the growth sprint is the hockey stick. And the growth sprint, you can pretty much when we get people to that level, they usually double their business pretty quickly when they're hitting that level. But that won't work unless you address these other three. So focus and consistency, that's the first one. Got to build that habit. Second is do work that you enjoy. And if you don't enjoy it, find another way to get there and be honest with yourself about that. Third is if you're in the get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work, that you are going to end up quitting your business if you don't solve for that. So find partner strategies, find a freelancer to help you. You've got to break through that to consistently scale your business. The last thing I want to give you is a set of strategies to help you regardless of the phase that you're in. But before I do that, I want to stop and see if there's any questions about what we've talked about so far. And then I'm going to give you some strategies to help you with all three.
Terri, can you talk a little bit about how long you think it takes to get to the fit differentiation and demand stage?
Yeah, great question. You're going to visit it more than once. So as human beings, we like to, check the box, move on. I don't have to address that again. Fit is usually one of the things we try to address quickly with the mentor. So we really like to work through that in the first month or two, because that'll be the thing that pulls people down. That's when you overthink. That's when you feel like you're failing. That's when you second guess yourself, is when you're trying to build a business the way somebody told you to do it rather than based on who you are. So if fit is the challenge, we usually try to address that first, and we usually try to address it in the first month or two. It doesn't take long, but you have to be honest with yourself. Differentiation is iterative. So what that means is you don't just get there, right? So you're going to put a part of the differentiation strategy in, and then you're going to go generate demand. And then you're going to recognize something is off with differentiation, and you're going to go back, and then you're going to go generate demand. So differentiation, it's iterative. You're going to pass that, it's like you're going to go around, and then you go, got to go back to differentiation again. It takes 2 to 3 rounds of it before you lock it in. And then once it's locked in, the business really does scale. Demand generation is, people take to it like lickety split because they've built good habits and they have good mindset. Other people, they second guess themselves. They try to make it perfect. They don't like it, so they don't do it. Demand generation is really about habits. It's not about how to do it. Most people know how to do it, even though we have lots of training on it. Most people, it's like not rocket science. Whereas differentiation, it's rocket science. It's a lot. Demand generation is really habits and being honest with yourself about, am I doing it? Yes or no? Why am I not doing it? Tell the truth. So demand generation is just building habits. So what I think might be easier from our experience now, 4 years in, if a business is under 5K, we can usually have them above 10K in 6 months, typically. If a business is 5 to 7, we can usually have them above 10K, usually in about 3 months. If a business is back in jumpstart, it probably could take 6 months to a year, depending on the person. But it really goes back to fit, differentiation, and demand. So does that give you a good feel?
Yes, thank you.
Other questions before I go through the kind of strategies that fit all and really which are mindset related? Okay, so a couple of things. These are universal. So I'm like, let's aim. I like to use things that are easy to remember. Let's aim to break the 10K barrier. And so the first part of aim is you have to alter your mindset and energy to strengthen your focus. And I mean alter. Your DNA must change to be successful. You've got to become, again, I'll use Patrick Mahomes or some of the other athletes that I've been following in the WNBA got my attention right now. Caitlin Clark and the girl that's the Bayou Barbie, I can't remember her name right now, who just hurt her wrist. I love her. But they focus as much on their mindset as they do their body. And so you really do, your DNA has to change where You control your mindset rather than your mindset controlling you. In corporate America, our mindset is often controlled by the companies we work for. So, if it's a positive culture, grow and we prosper and we become more confident. If we stay in a negative culture, we develop negative mindsets. We become critical and judgmental. And I mean, it's classic. So when you are the business, you have to be the CEO of your mind. You've got to begin to, and I mean, that's one of the things we teach our members is how to be CEO of your own mindset and your own energy. You've got to begin to take control of that. The second, the I stands for intention. Get clear on what you want and why you want it. Like, stop second guessing yourself. Just be honest. The truth is, break 10K, or the truth is, I want my business to be $20,000 a month and I want it to feel easy. And that setting that intention and just begin that ruthless self-awareness. This is what I wanted. This is why I want it. And that's literally the exercise. What do I want? Why do I want it? What do I want? Why do I want it? What do I want? Why do I want it? And clarify that. So my intentions, my first intention, and I have it on my computer, so I look at it every day. I want to live my purpose and I want to make a difference. And so anytime I don't feel like I'm making a difference with a client, with a team member, I'm like, I'm out. And I'm not going to let you suck me down that rabbit trail. So that's number one for me. 2 is I want to grow leaders who make an impact. 3 is I want it to be easy, right? So I call that leap. I want it to be easy and I want to have whatever it is I want to have. And then 4th is I want to positively impact the world through conscious business. So I have this clarity. What do I want? Why do I want it? What do I want? Why do I want it? I have it literally right there. And I look at it every single day. And anytime I'm feeling off, where I'm not happy or I'm down, I go back and I'm like, okay, my intentions are off and I'm stuck down here, and get the work, do the work. Stop it. Go back to your intention. And it is easy. And I've just trained myself with those very, very clear intentions on what I want and why do I want it. And then the third thing is you've got to learn how to make moves. What happens to us in entrepreneurship is we tend to get stuck in motion, doing stuff. And we get out of the rhythm of making moves. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into each of these 3 here in a minute, but that you want to learn how to make moves in your business. And so you're always moving the business forward. If your business isn't moving forward, it's moving backwards. And sometimes it needs to move backwards. Pivots tend to take us backwards, but your job is to alter your mindset, set your intention, and move it forward again. So these 3 strategies really do map to a lot of the things that we teach in ShiftCo, and I'm not going to spend too much time on them. But I am going to give you just a quick crash course in how to get your mindset right. We call it the success switch. Also, there's a deeper training on this on our YouTube page. And I want you to do this with me right now because you're going to feel it. There's 3 steps to turn on the success switch. The first step is to acknowledge. So make sure you're on mute when you do this with me. And so when we acknowledge the fear, the anxiety, the doubt, you can stop the negative program by just simply acknowledging it. So the way that you do that is you say, the truth is I feel. And then it can be tired, frustrated, annoyed, scared, whatever it is. So make sure you're on mute and do this with me. Say, the truth is I feel, and say it out loud. And so if I did it right now, I would say, the truth is I feel tired. Okay. So everybody do that. Ready, set, go. The truth is I feel. Comes up. Now wait 15 seconds. What you're going to start feeling your brain do is start to slow down. What's happening when you say the phrase out loud, the truth is I feel, the amygdala, which is the dumbest part of your brain, turns to the prefrontal cortex, because the prefrontal cortex governs emotions. And the prefrontal cortex is like the boss of the brain, one of the bosses. The amygdala, that's the dumb programmed part, says, oh, truth is I feel something. Prefrontal cortex, give me some information. Tell me what to do here. So do that again with me so you can feel it. The truth is I feel, I would say, tired. And then wait. And you're going to feel your brain start to slow down. Just let it go into neutral. Ooh, yeah. Okay. So you'll notice you feel different, right? That's the amygdala starting to pause. The amygdala is the programmed part of our brain. It's running our actions. It's running our thoughts. It's running our doubts. It's running our insecurity. It's running our fears. It's running us. You've got to stop it, and you got to stop that negative programming. Second step, ABC, is now that the amygdala is in neutral, you're going to breathe, which will turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. So 4 breaths, first in through the nose and out through your mouth. Do this with me. In through the nose, out of your mouth. That's breath 1. Breath 2, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Breath 3. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how your head's feeling right now. It's probably a little loopy. I'll talk about what that is. And breath 4. You kind of feel a little lightheaded right now. What just happened is the prefrontal cortex switched on the parasympathetic nervous system, which dumps serotonin and dopamine into your bloodstream and into your brain. And it floods the amygdala with these happiness, good, relaxing chemicals. And again, we have a whole training on this on the Shifco YouTube page. I'm just giving you a crash course. What also happens is the prefrontal cortex has now, as it's dumped all of those good chemicals into your bloodstream and into the amygdala is very programmable now. Anything you tell it next, it's going to believe because it's dumb. It's very easy to program. So now what you do, now that you're feeling that kind of looseness, like, wow, I feel a lot better, or calmer. Now just claim the new belief. Mine, was, I said I was feeling tired. Now I'm like, I have an unlimited amount of energy. And I'm going to picture myself being energetic. I'm going to picture myself working out, doing some jumping jacks. Just take the minute to program. So use visuals, images, feel it. If you felt scared, picture yourself in a power pose. My new belief is I am powerful beyond belief. Picture it. And then boom, the amygdala now locks onto that new belief and that new image, and it starts to hold that new belief and image instead of the one that was running you. So that's one of the ways that you can reprogram your mind. And you do have to alter your mindset to be successful as an entrepreneur. I'm going to skip that just because we're running out of time. And so alter your mindset. Second is set clear intentions. Say, what do I want? Why do I want it? What do I want? Why do I want it? And really, really get clear on that. And then third is make moves. And this will be my last tip. Focus on one thing at a time. Typically when I ask people what's wrong in the business, they're like, I don't have enough clients. I don't have enough revenue. That is a symptom. That is not a root cause. Are you not getting enough leads? You have leads or not buying? What is it? What is the one thing that's holding you back? And when you set that intention with clarity and focus, boom, you move forward and you can start to make moves to change that. What is a move? So here's the thing. Athletes are 3 times more successful as entrepreneurs as non-athletes. So if you were ever an athlete, you are set up for success, because if you go back to your athletic training, to be an athlete, whether it's in high school or college or even semi-pro or pro, you had to train your mind and your body to make moves versus waste motions. Motions are the act or process of moving, doing stuff. And entrepreneurs get stuck in motion, doing this, doing that, but I'm not really moving the business forward. And that is the kiss of death. You want to be making moves. A move is to go from one place to another. And so what that looks like is you're going to break your priorities into small moves. So I make 3 good moves every single day to grow my business without fail. I make 3 good moves. It's on my calendar. It's scheduled. Here's my time to move the business forward. Here's my time to move the business forward. And you just break them down and you dedicate time each day to making those moves. So that's how it works. If you care to join us in ShiftCo, if this has appealed to you, you will get in a group with me. And if you're not at 10K, we'll get you to 10K in 3 to 6 months. If you join ShiftCo, you will put you in a group. You'll go right in. Boom! You'll work with me every 2 weeks, and we'll get you above 10K. If you are already in ShiftCo, let your mentor know you're ready to take the 10K challenge, and they will send you a series of questions and get you into one of those groups with me. So I hope that this has been helpful. And as a reminder, feel free to attend any of our events. We've got the Difference Maker Toolkit on September 18th. And then if you're in the New York State area, come join us for Gather and Grow. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later.